On Sunday, November 17th, 2024, my daughter-in-law, Sarah Miller, walked into my living room, took the remote control from my hand, and said, "Arthur, the family room is for my family now. You can watch TV in your bedroom." I am Arthur Robinson. I'm 69 years old. I looked at my son Julian standing in the hallway. He said nothing. He didn't even look up from his phone. I said, "Okay." Then I grabbed my car keys and left the house I'd paid for. The house where my wife Evelyn died 18 years ago. The house with my name on the deed. 24 hours later, a process server knocked on their door with eviction papers. But that's not where this story gets interesting. What Sarah didn't know, what nobody knew, was that the broke old man she'd been pushing around for 4 years had $43 million in assets she'd never seen. And I'd been documenting every single lie. The Philadelphia Eagles were playing the Washington Commanders. Fourth quarter, 3-point lead. Fourth down with 1 minute, 47 seconds left on the clock. I was in my brown fabric powerlift recliner, the last piece of furniture Evelyn and I bought together 2 months before the cancer took her in 2006. She'd insisted on the heating function. "For your back, Arthur," she'd said, even though she was the one who could barely walk by then. I had a bowl of pretzels on the side table. My reading glasses were folded beside the TV guide. The volume was set to 18, loud enough to hear the commentary, quiet enough not to disturb anyone. Not that there was anyone to disturb. This was my house. 847 Waverly Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19147. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,900 square feet. Purchased in 1981 for $68,000. Currently valued at $712,000. Paid off in full in 2003. My name, Arthur James Robinson, on the deed. Mine. Sarah Miller walked in wearing yoga pants that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill and a white cashmere sweater I'd seen in the Nordstrom bag last Tuesday. She didn't knock. She didn't say, "Excuse me." She just walked straight up to me and plucked the remote control from my hand like I was a child who'd misbehaved. Click. The screen went black. I stared at the dead television, genuinely confused. "Sarah, I'm watching the game." She crossed her arms, the remote clutched in her perfectly manicured fingers. French tips done yesterday at that salon on Walnut Street that charges $85 for a basic manicure. I knew because I'd seen the charge on the supplementary credit card I'd given Julian 4 years ago. The one that was supposed to be for emergencies only. "Arthur," her voice had that tone. The one she used when she was about to explain something to someone she considered intellectually inferior. "We've talked about this. The family room is shared space, and Julian and I need it for our Sunday wind-down time. You have a perfectly good television in your bedroom. 55 inches. Smart TV. You can watch all the sports you want in there." The bedroom television. The one in the room at the back of the house. The smallest bedroom. The one that used to be Julian's when he was growing up. My bedroom. In my house. "Sarah, this is the 4th quarter. The game's almost—" "Arthur!" She cut me off, her voice sharpening like a blade. "I'm not asking twice. We've been more than accommodating for 4 years, but boundaries are important. Julian and I are trying to build a life here, and we need our space. The family room is for us now. You can watch your little sports games in your room." My little sports games. Behind her, in the hallway between the living room and the kitchen, I saw my son, Julian Matthew Robinson, 41 years old, 6 feet tall, 178 pounds, brown hair thinning at the crown, wearing a navy Ralph Lauren polo, $240, I'd seen the receipt, and carrying shopping bags from Williams-Sonoma and Pottery Barn. Our eyes met. I waited. My son, my only son, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike, the teenager I'd helped with calculus homework at this very dining room table, the young man I'd co-signed a car loan for when he was 23 and had no credit, the adult I'd bailed out when his event planning business collapsed in 2020. I waited for him to say something. Anything. "Mom, that's not fair." "Sarah, let Dad finish the game." "This is Dad's house. He can watch TV wherever he wants." But Julian just stood there, shopping bags in hand, shoulders hunched up around his ears, staring at his iPhone 15 Pro Max, $1,199, purchased 3 weeks ago on my supplementary card. He scrolled. He said nothing. That silence hit me harder than Sarah's words, because in that moment, standing in my own living room in my own house, with the deed in my name and the mortgage paid off 21 years ago, I understood something I'd been refusing to see for 4 years. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't Sarah having a bad day. This wasn't a temporary situation that would resolve itself. This was systematic. This was intentional. This was permission. Julian was letting this happen. He was choosing to let his wife order his father to his room like a misbehaving child. He was choosing to say nothing while she dismantled my dignity piece by piece. From the kitchen, I heard my daughter's voice. "Dad? Everything okay?" Maya Christine Robinson Vance, 38 years old. My daughter, my youngest. She appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel, her husband Marcus right behind her. Maya looked at the scene, Sarah holding the remote like a trophy, me sitting in my recliner looking confused, Julian pretending to be absorbed in his phone, and her face fell. She opened her mouth, but Marcus Vance, good man, quiet man, senior accountant at Deloitte, never asked me for a dime, put a gentle hand on her shoulder and shook his head once. Not our battle. And just like that, I saw everything with perfect clarity. Nobody was going to fight for me. Not my son, who'd lived in my house rent-free for 4 years. Not my daughter, who loved me but had her own family to protect. Not my son-in-law, who knew better than to get involved in someone else's family drama. I was alone. I stood up, slowly. My knees creaked, arthritis, the gift of 69 years. I looked at Sarah, then at the blank television screen where the Eagles game was playing silently, invisible, gone. "You're right," I said quietly. "This is your space now." Sarah's face relaxed. Victory. I walked past her, past Julian, who still wouldn't meet my eyes, past Maya, whose expression was breaking my heart, straight to the hook by the front door where I kept my car keys on a brass hook Evelyn had installed in 1983. I picked them up. "Dad?" Maya's voice was small, worried. I turned and looked at her. My beautiful daughter. Her eyes were already wet. "I'm going for a drive," I said. "I'll be back later." I wouldn't be back later. But I didn't know that yet. I opened the front door, the door I'd painted hunter green 20 years ago because Evelyn said it reminded her of Ireland, and stepped out into the November cold. Nobody stopped me. Nobody called my name. Nobody followed. I got into my 2015 Toyota Camry, paid off, 114,000 miles, runs perfectly, started the engine, and drove away from 847 Waverly Street. Away from the house where I'd lived for 43 years. Away from the house where Evelyn and I raised 2 children. Away from the house where she took her last breath in our bedroom on March 14th, 2006, at 3:27 in the morning, holding my hand and saying, "Take care of our babies, Arthur. Protect them, but protect yourself, too." I'd promised her I would. I'd kept half that promise. But here's what you need to understand. That moment, Sarah turning off my television, ordering me to my room, that wasn't the beginning. That was just the first time I'd actually seen it. Let me show you what I'd been missing. 4 years ago, October 2020, Julian called me on a Tuesday evening. His voice was tight with shame. "Dad, I hate to ask this, but my business is gone. The pandemic killed everything. No weddings, no corporate events, nothing. Sarah and I are drowning in debt, and our landlord just raised the rent to $2,400 a month. Could we maybe stay with you? Just temporarily. 6 months? Maybe a year tops? Just until we get back on our feet." I didn't hesitate. "Of course, son. This is your home. It'll always be your home." That's what Evelyn would have said. That's what we'd taught our children. Family takes care of family. They moved in with 2 suitcases, 4 boxes, and a promise to be out by spring. Spring 2021 came and went. 6 months later, April 2021. I came home from my Wednesday volunteer shift at the Veterans Affairs office on Chestnut Street to find my kitchen cabinets rearranged. Every single one. The canned goods I kept on the top left shelf, accessible, organized, the way Evelyn and I had arranged them in 1993, were gone. Moved to the bottom right cabinet behind the pots and pans. Sarah was standing on a step stool, reorganizing my spice rack. "Arthur!" She smiled brightly. "I'm fixing your system. Nobody keeps canned goods on the top shelf anymore. It's so outdated. And your spices were completely disorganized. No alphabetization. No system. I'm modernizing everything." She said modernizing like it was a gift she was giving me. I'd thanked her. I'd said, "Oh, well, that's thoughtful." And for the next 2 weeks, I couldn't find the chicken noodle soup. 9 months later, January 2022. I came home on a Thursday afternoon to find my living room curtains gone. The heavy cream damask drapes that Evelyn and I had ordered from that little shop on South Street in 1999. The ones we'd hung together on a Saturday morning, laughing because I kept dropping the screws and she kept saying, "Arthur, you're an engineer. How are you bad at this?" The ones that let in the perfect amount of morning light, soft and golden and warm. In their place, stark gray linen panels from West Elm, modern, minimalist, cold. "These old ones were from the 90s, Arthur," Sarah said, gesturing at the pile of cream fabric on the floor like it was garbage. "I'm updating the aesthetic, making it more contemporary. You'll love it once you adjust. It really opens up the space and makes everything feel more current." I never adjusted. Every single morning when I woke up, the harsh white light stabbed through those gray curtains and hurt my eyes. But I said nothing. Because Sarah was trying to help. Because Julian needed a place to stay. Because I didn't want to cause problems. 18 months later, June 2023. I walked into my kitchen to find Sarah cooking something that smelled like vinegar and sadness. "What's that?" I asked, trying to sound interested. "Deconstructed Buddha bowl with tahini drizzle," she said without looking up. "Your cooking is way too heavy, Arthur. All that butter and red meat and salt. It's honestly terrible for all of us. Heart disease, cholesterol, inflammation. I'm implementing a clean eating protocol for the household. Whole foods, plant-based, properly nourishing." Julian sat at my dining room table. The oak table Evelyn and I bought at an estate sale in 1984 for $300, scrolling through his phone. "Sounds amazing, babe," he said. Didn't look up. He didn't say, "Dad's cooking is fine." He didn't say, "We're guests here." He just kept scrolling. That night I ate quinoa and roasted vegetables. The next night too, and the night after that. My pot roast recipe, the one Evelyn perfected over 32 years, the one she wrote on a recipe card in her own handwriting, the one Maya still requests every birthday, sat unused in the kitchen drawer, pushed to the back behind Sarah's collection of clean eating cookbooks. 7 of them. $43 each. $301 total on my credit card. I counted. 2 weeks ago. Thanksgiving, November 28th, 2024. I was pulling out the 20-pound roasting pan when Sarah touched my shoulder. Light. Gentle, the way you touch someone fragile. "Arthur, don't worry about Thanksgiving this year. I've got it completely handled. Modern families don't really do the whole traditional heavy meal anymore. It's too much work for you anyway at your age. You should just relax. Enjoy being a guest." A guest, at Thanksgiving, in my house. I'd relaxed myself right out of my own kitchen while Sarah hosted Thanksgiving in my dining room with my dishes, with my silverware serving some deconstructed turkey presentation, with cauliflower mash and Brussels sprouts 3 ways. It tasted like cardboard dipped in disappointment. Maya had caught my eye across the table. She'd mouthed, "I'm sorry, Dad," but she hadn't said anything out loud, because everyone was walking on eggshells around Sarah. Everyone except Sarah herself. Each incident was small, polite, wrapped in concern and helpfulness and modernization. But together they were a systematic erasure. One cabinet at a time, one curtain at a time, one meal at a time. one room at a time. Sarah hadn't just moved into my house 4 years ago. She'd been slowly, methodically replacing me, and I'd let her. I'd said thank you. I'd said okay. I'd shrunk myself smaller and smaller until I'd become invisible. Furniture, something to work around, something that knew its place. But that was about to change. I drove for 37 minutes before I realized I had nowhere to go. My sister Patricia lived in Sarasota, Florida, 1,900 miles away. Maya had a full house, 2 kids, Emma and Lucas, ages 8 and 5, a 3-bedroom colonial in Haverford with no spare room. My friends from the neighborhood, the ones still alive, were dealing with their own problems. George had dementia. Frank was in hospice. Richard had moved to Arizona to be near his daughter, so I drove downtown, past City Hall where the William Penn statue stood watch over the city, past the crowds of young people on Walnut Street heading to bars and restaurants I could no longer afford to visit regularly, past the life I used to have when Evelyn was alive and the world made sense. I pulled up to the Rittenhouse Hotel at 8:43 p.m., 210 West Rittenhouse Square. I'd walked past it 1,000 times in my 43 years in Philadelphia, but had never stepped inside. It looked expensive. It looked like the kind of place where nobody would tell you to go to your room. The lobby smelled like leather and lilies. The marble floor gleamed under crystal chandeliers. A young woman behind the desk, name tag read Jessica Martinez, smiled at me with genuine warmth. "Good evening, sir. How may I help you?" "I need a room." My voice came out steady. That surprised me. 4 weeks. Quiet floor if you have it. Jessica didn't ask questions. Didn't ask why a 69-year-old man was checking into a hotel alone on a Sunday night with no luggage. She just nodded professionally. "Of course. We have a lovely room on the 5th floor. King bed, city view, $290 per night plus tax." $290. For 4 weeks, that would be $8,120. I didn't hesitate. "Perfect." I handed her my American Express Platinum card. The one Sarah didn't know existed. The one connected to the account she'd never seen. Room 517, key card in hand, elevator rising. The room was exactly what I needed. Clean, quiet, anonymous. White sheets that smelled like lavender. A desk with a leather chair. A window overlooking Rittenhouse Square where the trees were bare and black against the city lights. I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out my phone. My hands were steady. That surprised me too. I'd expected them to shake. But 43 years as a structural engineer teaches you to stay calm when things are collapsing. And things were definitely collapsing. I scrolled through my contacts until I found the name I needed. Robert Hayes. Robert and I went back 31 years. We'd worked together at Morrison Engineering from 1993 to 2004. He'd left to go to law school at Temple. Got his JD in 2007. Specialized in property law, estate law, elder law. We'd barbecued together. Our wives had been in the same book club. Our kids had played soccer together. After Evelyn died, Robert had handled the will, the estate, all the paperwork. He was a good man. And more importantly, he was a damn good lawyer. I pressed call. He answered on the second ring. "Arthur, it's almost 9 on a Sunday. Everything okay?" "No," I said. "Robert, I need help." And then I told him everything. The remote control. The order to go to my room. Julian's silence. 4 years of living rent-free. The kitchen, the curtains, the food, Thanksgiving. Every small erasure. Every quiet humiliation, every moment I'd swallowed my dignity and said okay. Robert didn't interrupt. He just listened. And when I finished, there was a long pause. Then he said 5 words that changed everything. "Do you own the house?" "Yes. Fully paid off. Deeds in my name only. Evelyn left everything to me in her will." "Any lease agreement? Any rent arrangement? Anything in writing?" "No, nothing. Julian asked if they could stay temporarily. I said yes. There was never anything formal, no paperwork, no rent discussions, nothing." Another pause. I heard papers rustling in the background. Robert was already working. Arthur, do you understand what you have here? What? This isn't a family issue anymore. This is a legal issue. You have unauthorized occupants. Pennsylvania law is very clear. No lease, no rent, no legal tenancy. You can evict them. 30-day notice to quit. After that, if they refuse to leave, sheriff's office handles it. My heart started pounding. Evict them. Yes. Your son and daughter-in-law are legally considered squatters with permission. You gave them permission to stay. You can revoke that permission. They have no legal right to your property. How fast can we do this? How fast do you want to move? I looked out the window at the city lights, at the life I'd been living as a ghost in my own house, at the 4 years I'd lost. Tomorrow morning, I said, I want them out in 30 days. Come to my office at 8 a.m., bring the deed. Bring any financial records you have. Bring everything. We'll have the papers drafted by noon and served by end of day. I exhaled, long and slow. Thank you, Robert. Arthur, one more thing. Yes? When Julian calls, and he will call, don't engage. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just say, talk to my lawyer. That's it. Can you do that? Yes, I said. I can do that. After we hung up, I sat in that quiet hotel room for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened my wallet and pulled out the photograph I carried everywhere. The one tucked behind my credit cards in a plastic sleeve worn soft from 18 years of handling. Evelyn, taken at our 40th wedding anniversary party. Maya had thrown it for us at that Italian restaurant in Old City. Evelyn was wearing her navy dress with the pearl buttons. Her hair was silver by then, but her smile was exactly the same as the day I met her in 1976. I ran my thumb along the edge of the photograph. Evie, I whispered to the empty room. I'm sorry it took me so long, but I'm going to protect what we built. I promise you that. And then I remembered something she'd said to me once. We were in the kitchen. I was fixing a loose cabinet hinge. She was doing paperwork from her job at the school district. I'd been agonizing over whether to report a contractor who was cutting corners on a bridge project. I was terrified that doing the right thing would cost people their jobs. Evelyn had set down her pen and looked at me. Arthur, you've always been afraid of being selfish. But selfishness is taking what isn't yours. Protecting what is yours, that's just common sense. Don't confuse the two. Common sense. Protecting what was mine wasn't selfish. It was survival. I put the photograph back in my wallet, set my phone on the nightstand, and for the first time in 4 years, I slept deeply. Monday, November 18th, 2024, 8 o'clock a.m. Robert Hayes's office was in a converted brownstone on Spruce Street. 3rd floor, corner office with windows overlooking the street. I arrived at 7:45 with a manila folder containing everything Robert had asked for. Property deed for 847 Waverly Street. Purchased 1981. Paid off 2003. Current owner, Arthur James Robinson. Evelyn's will. Dated February 8th, 2006. Everything left to me. My will. Dated April 2006. Everything split between Julian and Maya. Bank statements from my primary checking account. The one Julian knew about. Current balance. $12,347. Robert was waiting with coffee and a legal pad covered in notes. Let me see everything, he said. I spread the documents across his desk. He reviewed each one carefully, making notes, occasionally nodding. Finally, he looked up. This is ironclad, Arthur. The house is yours. No joint ownership. No tenancy agreement. No legal claim from Julian or Sarah whatsoever. We can have them out in 30 days with 0 legal complications. Do it, I said. Robert drafted the notice while I watched. Every word was precise, legal, undeniable. Notice to quit premises to Julian Matthew Robinson and Sarah Elizabeth Miller, Re 847, Waverly Street, Philadelphia, PA 19147. You are hereby notified to vacate the above premises within 30 days from the date of service of this notice. Your occupancy was granted as a temporary courtesy and is now terminated. Failure to vacate will result in legal eviction proceedings. Signed, Arthur James Robinson, property owner. Dated November 18th, 2024. I'll have Thomas Wright serve this today, Robert said. He's my process server, former police officer, professional. He'll serve it to both of them personally before 5 p.m. What happens after 30 days if they don't leave? Sheriff's office. Forced eviction. But Arthur, that won't be necessary. Once they see this is real, they'll leave. Trust me. I signed the papers. My hand didn't shake once. One more thing, I said. I need to cut off their access to my resources. Today. Robert nodded. Smart. What do they have access to? Julian has a supplementary credit card on my account. They use my internet, my cable, all my utilities. Everything's in my name. Cancel it all. Right now. Every single thing. Make them understand this is serious. I pulled out my phone and made 4 calls while Robert witnessed. Call number 1, Comcast Cable and Internet, 9:47 a.m. This is Arthur Robinson, account number 4762983. I need to suspend service at 847 Waverly Street, effective immediately. May I ask the reason, sir? No, just suspend it. It'll be shut off within 2 hours. Call number 2, Pico Energy, 9:52 a.m. I kept the electricity on. I'm not cruel, but I put the account on notice that unauthorized charges would be disputed. Call number 3, Verizon Landline, 9:55 a.m. Suspend service today. Call number 4, American Express, 10:03 a.m. I need to cancel a supplementary card. Cardholder name Julian Matthew Robinson. Card number ending in 4782. May I ask why you're canceling? Unauthorized usage. Cancel it immediately. Done, sir. The card will be declined effective in 30 minutes. I hung up and looked at Robert. Now what? I asked. Now? Robert smiled grimly. Now you wait for the explosion. Monday, November 18th, 2024, 11:34 a.m. I was having lunch in the hotel restaurant. French onion soup, small salad, coffee, when my phone started buzzing. Julian. I let it ring. It rang again, and again, and again, 17 times in 20 minutes. Then the text messages started. Julian, 11:41 a.m. Dad, where are you? Julian, 11:43 a.m. There's a man at the door with papers. Julian, 11:44 a.m. He says we have to leave, Julian, 11:45 a.m. Eviction notice? Dad, what is this, Julian, 11:47 a.m. Call me now, Julian, 11:52 a.m. The internet is down, Julian, 11:53 a.m. The phone is disconnected, Julian, 11:58 a.m. My credit card was declined at the grocery store, in front of everyone. I had $214 in groceries. They made me put it all back. Julian, 12:03 p.m. Call me. I didn't call. I finished my soup. I paid with my Amex. I went back to my room. At 12:47 p.m., my phone rang again. Julian, I answered. Dad, what the hell is going on? There was a man here with eviction papers. He said we have 30 days to leave. He said you sent him. This has to be a mistake. Some kind of scam. Tell me this is a scam. I could hear Sarah in the background, her voice high and sharp. Don't sign anything. This is illegal. He can't do this. I took a breath, remembered Robert's advice. Julian, the man's name is Thomas Wright. He's a process server. He works for Robert Hayes, my attorney. The documents are real. You and Sarah have 30 days to vacate 847 Waverly Street. Silence. Then, Dad, you can't be serious. This is insane. Where are we supposed to go? I don't know, Julian, but that's not my problem to solve anymore. Not your dad. This is crazy. We're family. You can't just throw us out. I'm not throwing you out. I'm asking you to leave a house that belongs to me. A house you've lived in rent-free for 4 years. A house where yesterday your wife ordered me to my room. More silence. Heavy. Thick. Dad, Sarah didn't mean it like that. She was having a bad day. She's been stressed. Her freelance work has been slow and... Julian. My voice was calm. Flat. Tell Sarah to lower her voice. Thomas Wright is a professional, and he doesn't deserve to be screamed at. This is insane! You've lost your mind. We'll fight this. We have rights. You have 30 days. I suggest you start looking for apartments. They go fast in Philadelphia. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. I turned it off. Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, 9:15 a.m. I woke up in room 517 and did something I should have done 4 years ago. I logged into my bank account. The real one. Not the checking account with $12,000 that Julian knew about. The other one. First Republic Private Wealth Management. Account holder, Arthur James Robinson. Current balance, $43,267,894. $43,267,894. Let me explain something. When people heard I worked as a structural engineer for 40 years, they assumed I made a comfortable living. Maybe $80,000, $90,000 a year. Decent pension. Enough to retire on. They didn't know that in 1997, I designed a proprietary earthquake-resistant joint system for high-rise buildings. Patent number US 5008-91-368. Licensed to 73 construction firms worldwide. Royalties, $400,000 to $1.2 million per year, depending on usage. They didn't know that Evelyn and I had invested carefully. Bought rental properties in University City in the 80s when they were cheap. Sold them in the 2000s when they were worth millions. They didn't know that Evelyn had been the assistant superintendent of the Philadelphia School District. Salary, $137,000 a year. Pension, $89,000 annually, which I still received. We'd lived modestly. A 1,500 square foot house in a middle-class neighborhood. A 10-year-old Camry. No country club. No expensive vacations. But we'd been millionaires since 2002. And when Evelyn died, I'd inherited everything. Sarah thought I was a broke old man living on Social Security. She had no idea, but that was about to change. I pulled out my laptop and opened the file I'd been keeping, the one I'd started 3 months ago when I first began to suspect something was wrong. Document 1, Supplementary Credit Card Statement. Julian Robinson. I'd given Julian the card in November 2020 when he moved in. For emergencies only, I'd said. Groceries, gas, necessities. I'd downloaded every statement. 4 years, 48 months. I started adding. November 2020, October 2024. Total charges. My hands moved across the calculator. Month 1, $1,847. Month 6, $2,934. Month 12, $4,202. Month 24, $5,788. Month 36, $6,234. Month 48, $7,891. I added it all up. Total, $143,762. $143,762. On a card that was supposed to be for emergencies. But that wasn't even the interesting part. I started highlighting individual charges. Designer purchases. Nordstrom, $2,847. One purchase, September 2022. Saks, Fifth Avenue, $4,102. One purchase, December 2023. Tiffany & Co., $3,267. Two purchases, February and June 2024. Neiman Marcus, $1,934. One purchase, August 2024. Total designer, $12,150. Restaurants. Vetri Cucina, $487. Dinner for two, multiple times. Zehahav, $523. Dinner for two. Butcher and Singer, $634. Dinner for two. Morimoto, $398. Dinner for two. Total restaurants, 4 years. $34,892 though. But the charges that made my blood run cold were these. Borgata Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City, March 2022, $2,134, hotel plus a spa. May 2022, $1,876, hotel plus dining. August 2022, $2,947, hotel plus a spa plus shopping. November 2022, $3,102, hotel plus spa. February 2023, $2,834, hotel. April 2023, $1,998, hotel plus dining. July 2023, $3,234, hotel plus spa. October 2023, $2,765, hotel ye. January 2024, $2,888, hotel. March 2024, $3,409, hotel plus spa. June 2024, 2006 hotel. September 2024, $3,187, hotel plus spa. 12 trips to Atlantic City in 2.5 years. Total $33,386 every single time Julian thought Sarah was visiting her sister in Cherry Hill. I printed every statement, highlighted every charge, put them in a folder. Then I made a call. Wednesday, November 20th, 2024, 10:30 a.m. Davidson Forensic Accounting. This is Patricia speaking. My name is Arthur Robinson. I need a forensic accountant to review financial records, possible fraud or misappropriation of funds. Let me connect you with Mr. Leonard Davidson. Leonard Davidson was 62, former IRS investigator, now ran his own firm specializing in financial fraud. I'd found him through Robert Hayes. Mr. Robinson, tell me what you found. I explained everything, the credit card, the charges, the patterns. I need to know if there's more, I said. I need to know what else I'm missing. Do you have access to your son's financial records? No, but he's been living in my house. He might have paperwork there. Does he know you're investigating? He knows I've evicted him. He doesn't know why. Not the real reason. Leonard was quiet for a moment. Mr. Robinson, if you want the full picture, I need access to everything. Bank statements, tax returns, investment accounts, loan applications. Can you get those? My daughter has a key to the house. Julian and Sarah both work during the day. I can get in. Do it. Photograph everything. Don't take originals, just photos. Then bring them to me. Thursday, November 21st, 2024, 1:45 p.m. Maya met me 3 blocks from the house. She looked nervous. Dad, are you sure about this? This feels like we're breaking in. It's my house, Maya. I'm not breaking in. I'm collecting information about people who've been stealing from me. She handed me the key. Julian leaves for work at 8:30. Sarah usually goes to the gym at 1. She should be gone until 3. I nodded. Aye. Stay in the car. If you see them coming back, text me. I'll be fast. The house looked the same from outside, but when I walked in, everything felt different. Because I wasn't walking into my home anymore. I was walking into a crime scene. I started in Julian's old bedroom, the one they'd taken over as their office. The desk was covered in papers. I started photographing everything with my iPhone. Document 2, bank statement, Julian and Sarah joint account, Chase Bank. Account ending in 7834. Current balance, $347. $347. But that wasn't the shocking part. I scrolled through the transaction history. 4 years ago, November 2020, opening balance, $28,150. That was Julian's savings when he moved in. Everything he had left after his business failed. I'd assumed they'd been saving money, living rent-free, no utilities, minimal expenses. Julian made approximately $67,000 a year at his new job in event coordination at the convention center. Sarah did freelance graphic design. She claimed she made $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Combined income, roughly $100,000 per year. Living rent-free, saving approximately $24,000 per year in housing costs alone. 4 years equals $96,000 in saved rent. Plus Julian's original $28,450. They should have had at least $124,450 saved. They had $347. Where did $124,103 go? I kept photographing. Transaction after transaction. And then I found it. Document 3. Coinbase Pro Account Statement. Sarah Elizabeth Miller, account holder. I found 12 printed statements in the desk drawer. Folded. Hidden under a pile of old graphic design invoices. My hands started shaking as I photographed each page. March 2023. Initial deposit, $42,000 source. Transfer from Chase account, ending in 7834. That was their joint account. That was Julian's money too, but the account was in Sarah's name only. March and April 2023. Trading activity. Bitcoin purchases, 42,000 leveraged trading enabled 5x margin total exposure, 210,000, 5x the initial investment. May 2023. Market correction. Bitcoin drop, 23%, margin call, $68,000 owed. Account liquidated, total loss. Final balance, 0. She'd gambled away $42,000 of Julian's money, then lost an additional $26,000 on margin calls that she'd somehow paid from somewhere. I photographed everything, every page, every transaction. Then I opened another drawer. Document 4, Personal Loan Agreement. Marcus & Associates. Lending borrower, Sarah Elizabeth Miller. Loan amount, $28,000. Date, June 15, 2023. Purpose, home renovation. Interest rate, 18.9% APR. Current status, default, 4 months past due. Outstanding balance, $31,247. What home renovation? This was my house. There had been no renovations. I photographed it. Then I found the next document. Document 5, Credit Card Statement. Sarah Miller, Personal Capital One Visa. Account ending in 3921. Current balance, $23,487. Minimum payment, 90 days overdue. $847. Recent charges. Neiman Marcus, $2,134. Pottery Barn, $3,876. Bloomingdale's, $1,543. Sephora, $987. Whole Foods, $1,234. Williams Sonoma, $2,187. Julian didn't know about this card. I was certain. Because if he knew his wife had $23,000 in secret credit card debt while living in his father's house rent-free, he would have said something. Wouldn't he? I kept searching. In the closet, I found a shoebox. Inside, receipts. Dozens of them. All from the Borgata Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, not just hotel rooms. Casino receipts. Slot machines. 1,147 hours. 1 day, August 2022. Blackjack. $2,934. 1 night, March 2023. Roulette, $1,150. 1 evening, July 2023. Poker tournament entry, $1,200. September 2023. Sarah had a gambling problem, and she'd been funding it with Julian's money. With my money. I photographed everything, every receipt, every statement, every document. At 2:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Maya. Sarah's car just turned onto the street. Get out now. I shoved everything back exactly as I'd found it. Locked the office door, ran downstairs. I was out the back door and through the neighbor's yard 30 seconds before Sarah pulled into the driveway. Friday, November 22nd, 2024, 10:04 a.m. Leonard Davidson's office was in a glass tower on Market Street. 18th floor. I walked in with a USB drive containing 473 photographs. Leonard plugged it into his computer and started scrolling. His expression didn't change, but I saw his jaw tighten. After 30 minutes, he looked up. "Mr. Robinson, this is bad. Worse than you thought." "How bad?" He turned his monitor toward me. "Let me show you what I found. I cross-referenced your credit card statements with the bank records and loan documents. Here's the breakdown." He opened a spreadsheet. Financial summary. Julian Robinson and Sarah Miller. Period. November 2020, November 2024. Income, 4 years. Julian's salary, $268,000. Sarah's freelance, estimated, $120,000. Total $388,000 expenses. Living rent-free. Food utilities estimated $48,000. Transportation $16,000. Insurance $12,000. Personal items $24,000. Total reasonable expenses $100,000. Expected savings $288,000. Actual savings $347 missing. $287,653. Leonard pulled up another document. Here's where it went. Expenditure breakdown. Category 1, your credit card, $143,762. Designer purchases, $12,150. Restaurants, $34,892. Atlantic City trips, $33,380. Home goods, $28,443. Miscellaneous luxury, $34,891. Category 2, cryptocurrency gambling, $68,000. Initial investment, $42,000. Margin call losses, $26,000. Category 3, personal loan, $28,000. Supposedly for home renovation. Actually used for debt payments and more gambling. Category 4, secret credit card, $23,187. Shopping, dining, luxury goods. Category 5, casino gambling, cash, $24,404. Based on ATM withdrawals at Borgata. Pattern shows addiction escalation. Total confirmed losses, $287,653. I stared at the screen. Nearly $300,000. Gone, gambled away, spent on designer clothes, wasted on fancy dinners, while living rent-free in my house, while ordering me to my room. Leonard continued. Mr. Robinson, there's more. Look at this pattern. He pulled up a timeline. Sarah's gambling escalated every 6 months. Small bets in 2022. Bigger bets in 2023. By 2024, she was losing thousands in single sessions. This is textbook gambling addiction. Does Julian know? Based on the account structures? No. The Coinbase account is in her name only. The personal credit card is in her name only. The casino ATM withdrawals came from a separate checking account he doesn't have access to. She's been hiding this from him. Can you testify to this? In court if necessary? Leonard nodded. Absolutely. This is financial fraud. She used joint marital funds for undisclosed gambling. She took out loans in her name while living rent-free under false pretenses. If Julian wanted to, he could sue her for fraud. You could sue them both for unjust enrichment. I don't want to sue Julian. I want him to understand what she did to him. Then show him this. Leonard printed out a 47-page report. Every transaction, every lie, every dollar. This is the evidence, forensic, undeniable. She can't explain this away. I took the report. It was heavy in my hands, not because of the paper, because of what it meant. My son had been married to a liar and a con artist for 6 years, and he had no idea. Monday, November 25th, 2024, 3:30 p.m. My phone rang. Julian, I answered. Dad? His voice was different, quieter, broken. Can we meet? Just you and me. No Sarah, no lawyers. Just coffee, please. I hesitated. Robert had told me not to engage, but this was my son. Okay, I said. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., the diner on Market Street. Thank you, Dad. Thank you. He hung up. I sat in my hotel room staring at the forensic report on my desk. Tomorrow, Julian would learn the truth. Tomorrow, everything would change. Again. Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, 9:15 a.m. I woke up in room 517 and did something I should have done 4 years ago. I logged into my bank account. The real one. First Republic Private Wealth Management. Account holder, Arthur James Robinson. Current balance, $43,267,894. $43,267,894. Let me tell you something most people don't know. When Evelyn died in 2006, she left me everything. Our house, our investments, and the royalties from patent US 5 $891,368, my earthquake-resistant joint system for high-rise buildings, licensed to 73 firms worldwide, generating $400,000 to $1.2 million annually for 27 years. We'd been millionaires since 2002, but we lived in a 1,500-square-foot house and drove a 10-year-old Camry because we didn't need to prove anything to anyone. Sarah thought I was a broke old man on Social Security. She had no idea. I pulled out my laptop and opened the file I'd been keeping since September, the one I'd started when I first noticed something was wrong. I downloaded every credit card statement from the supplementary card I'd given Julian. 4 years, 48 months. I started calculating. November 2020, October 2024. Total charges. Month by month, the numbers climbed. 1,847, 2,134, 4,102, 5,788, 6,234, $7,891. Final total. $143,762, $143,762 on a card that was supposed to be for emergencies only. But the individual charges made my blood freeze. Borgata Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City, 12 visits. March 2022, 2,134 hours. May 2022, $1,876. August 2022, 2,947. November 2022, 3,102 hours. February 2023, $2,834. April 2023, $1,998. July 2023, $3,234. October 2023, $2,765. January 2024, $2,888. March 2024, $3,445. June 2024, $2,976. September 2024, $3,187. Total, $33,386. Every time Julian thought Sarah was visiting her sister in Cherry Hill, she was at a casino. I printed everything, every statement, every charge. Then I made a call. Davidson Forensic Accounting. This is Patricia. My name is Arthur Robinson. I need a forensic accountant. Possible fraud, misappropriation of funds, approximately $150,000 over 4 years. 15 minutes later, I was connected to Leonard Davidson, former IRS investigator, 62 years old, specialized in financial fraud. I explained everything. Mr. Robinson, if you want the full picture, I need access to all their financial records. Can you get them? My daughter has a key. They're both gone during the day. I can get in. Do it. Photograph everything. Bank statements, loan documents, credit cards, investment accounts, everything. Don't take originals, just photographs. Thursday, November 21st, 2024, 1:45 p.m. Maya met me 3 blocks from 847 Waverly Street. She looked terrified. Dad, this feels wrong, like we're breaking in. It's my house, Maya. I'm collecting evidence of theft. That's not breaking in. That's investigation. She handed me the key. Julian leaves at 8:30. Sarah goes to the gym at 1. She'll be back by 3. Stay in the car. If you see her coming, text me immediately. I walked into my own house like a stranger, because that's what I'd become. I went straight to Julian's old bedroom, their office. The desk was covered in paperwork. I started photographing everything with my iPhone. Document 1. Joint bank statement. Chase bank account. Ending in 7834. Current balance. $347. I scrolled back to the opening balance. November 2020. $28,150. They'd started with $28,000. Plus 4 years of living rent-free should have saved them at least $96,000. They should have had $124,450. They had $347. Where did $124,103 go? I kept searching. Then I found it. Document 2. Coinbase Pro account statement hidden in the desk drawer. 12 pages. Folded. Buried under old invoices. Account holder, Sarah Elizabeth Miller. Only her name, not Julian's. March 2023. Initial deposit, $42,000 source. Transfer from Chase joint account. Trading activity, Bitcoin purchases with 5x leverage. Total exposure, $210,000. Market correction in May 2023. Margin call, $68,000 owed. Account liquidated, total loss. Final balance, $0. She'd gambled $42,000 of their joint savings on cryptocurrency. Lost it all, then lost another $26,000 on margin calls. I photographed every page, hands shaking. Document 3, Personal Loan Agreement. Borrower, Sarah Elizabeth Miller. Lender, Marcus & Associates. Lending amount, $28,000. Date, June 15, 2023. Purpose, home renovation. Status, default. 4 months overdue. Outstanding balance, $31,247. What home renovation? This was my house. There had been no renovations. Document 4, secret credit card. Capital One Visa account ending in 3921. Sarah's name only. Current balance, $23,487. Status, 90 days past due. Recent charges. Neiman Marcus, $2,134. Pottery Barn, $3,876. Bloomingdale's, $1,543. Whole Foods, $1,234. Julian didn't know about this card. I was certain. Then I found the shoebox in the closet. Inside, casino receipts. Dozens of them. Casino gambling. Cash withdrawals at Borgata. Slot machines, $1,847. August 2022. Blackjack losses, $2,934. March 2023. Roulette, $1,455. July 2023. Poker tournament, $1,200. September 2023. Pattern showing escalating addiction. Total cash gambling, approximately $24,404. At 2:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Maya, Sarah's car just turned onto the street. Get out now. I shoved everything back, locked the door, ran. I was through the backyard and gone 30 seconds before Sarah pulled into the driveway. Friday, November 22nd, 2024, 10 o'clock a.m., Leonard Davidson's office, Market Street, 18th floor. I handed him a USB drive with 473 photographs. He reviewed everything for 37 minutes without speaking. Then he looked up. Mr. Robinson, this is worse than you thought. He turned his monitor toward me. Financial summary. Julian Robinson and Sarah Miller. Period November 2020. November 2024. Total income, 4 years. Julian's salary, $268,000. Sarah's freelance, estimated $120,000. Total $388,000 reasonable expenses. Food utilities, $48,000. Transportation, $16,000. Insurance or healthcare, $12,000. Personal necessities, $24,000. Total $100,000 expected savings, $288,000 actual savings, $347. Missing, $287,853. Leonard pulled up another document. Where the money went. Your credit card, $143,162. Atlantic City trips, $33,386. Restaurants, $34,892. Designer shopping, $12,150. Home goods, $28,443. Miscellaneous luxury, $34,891. Cryptocurrency gambling, $68,000. Initial investment, $42,000. Margin call losses, $26,000. Personal loan, fraudulent purpose, $28,000. Secret credit card debt, $23,487. Casino cash. Gambling, $24,404. Total documented losses, $287,653. $287,000, I whispered. Mr. Robinson, your daughter-in-law has a severe gambling addiction. The pattern escalates every 6 months. This is textbook compulsive behavior, and she's been hiding it all from your son using separate accounts, false statements, and lies. Can you testify to this? Absolutely. This is financial fraud. She used marital funds for undisclosed gambling. She took loans under false pretenses. If your son wanted to press charges, he could. If you wanted to sue for unjust enrichment, you could. I don't want money. I want my son to see the truth. Leonard printed a 47-page report. Every transaction, every lie, every stolen dollar. This is the evidence. Forensic, professional, undeniable. Show him this. Tuesday, November 26, 2024, 10 o'clock a.m. The Liberty Diner, our old place, where Evelyn and I used to have Saturday breakfast. Julian walked in at exactly 10 a.m. He looked destroyed. Lost 15 pounds. Dark circles. Unwashed hair. I moved out, he said immediately. Last night. Extended stay on Roosevelt Boulevard. $112 a night. All I can afford. Where's Sarah? Still at your house. Refusing to leave. She says, his voice cracked. She says you're senile, that we need to get you evaluated, put you in a facility so she can keep the house. I slid the manila folder across the table. What is that? Julian asked. 4 years of truth. Open it. His hands shook as he opened the folder. The first page, total confirmed losses, $287,653. Julian's face went white. $287,000, I said quietly. That's what she spent. That's what she stole. While living in my house. While ordering me to my room. I watched him read. Page after page. The credit card charges. The casino trips. The cryptocurrency gambling. The secret loan. The hidden credit card. Page 7, I said. Borgata Casino, 12 trips. Every time you thought she was visiting her sister. Julian was crying silently. Page 12, $42,000, your joint savings. Gambled on cryptocurrency with 5 times leverage. Total loss, $68,000 including margin calls. When? His voice was barely audible. March 2023. That's when she said she needed money for her mother's surgery. I gave her $4,000. She said it wasn't enough. I told her we couldn't touch our savings. She said okay. She said her sister would help. She took $42,000 and gambled it away, then took out a $28,000 loan and gambled that too. Julian closed the folder, put his head in his hands. I'm such an idiot. You trusted your wife. That's not idiotic. Yes, it is. I let her steal from both of us. I let her order you around in your own house. I'm pathetic. His phone rang. He looked at the screen. Kevin, my coworker, he answered. Hey man, now's not... He stopped, listened. His expression shifted from confusion to shock to rage. What do you mean you saw her where? 30 seconds of listening. Are you sure it was her? More listening. Okay, thanks. I'll call you back. He hung up, stared at the phone. Kevin saw Sarah yesterday at King of Prussia Mall with a man, 50 years old, gray hair, expensive suit. They were holding hands, kissing. Did Kevin recognize him? No, but Dad... Julian was already pulling up his phone records. Sarah's on my phone plan. I pay the bill. I can see her call history. His fingers moved frantically. There's a number she's called 312 times in the last 6 months, sometimes 4 times a day. Long calls, 30, 40 minutes. Do you recognize the number? No, it's 610 area code. He copied it, Googled it. The results appeared. Richard Chen, DDS, dental practice, Westchester, PA. Julian stared at the screen like it had slapped him. Richard Chen, he whispered. Who is Richard Chen? Something cold slid down my spine. Call the office, right now. Julian dialed. Put it on speaker. Chen Dental Associates, this is Amanda. Julian's voice shook. Hi, I need to reach Dr. Richard Chen. He's with a patient. Can I take a message? This will sound strange, but I need to know. Does Dr. Chen have a wife? Pause. I can't give out personal information. Please, my name is Julian Robinson. I think my wife is having an affair with him. Long pause, then quietly. Sir, Dr. Chen is married, has been for 7 years. His wife's name is Sarah. The world stopped. Sarah what? Julian could barely speak. Sarah Chen, formerly Sarah Miller. When did they get married? August 2018, I believe. I took the phone. Thank you, ma'am. Hung up. Julian was frozen, completely frozen. August 2018, he whispered. That's 2 years before I met her. 2 years before we got married in Vegas in June 2020. I searched California marriage records on my phone. Found it in 3 minutes. State of California, marriage license Richard Chen and Sarah Elizabeth Miller. Date August 12th, 2018. County, Los Angeles. Status, active. I showed Julian the screen. He stared at it for a full minute. I was never married, he said. My wedding wasn't real. My marriage was fraud. Everything was a lie. Tuesday, November 26th, 2024, 1:15 p.m. Julian sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel. I got in the passenger seat. What do I do? He asked. What do I do, Dad? You have a choice. Confront her or call the police. Bigamy is a crime. Fraud is a crime. Theft is a crime. How much do you actually have, Dad? She was trying to wait for you to die so I'd inherit the house and she could take half. How much was she waiting for? I took a breath. $43,267,000. Julian turned to look at me. His mouth opened. No sound came out. Your mother and I made good investments. I have patents that generate royalties. We lived modestly because we didn't need to impress anyone. 43 million. Yes, Julian laughed. It sounded hysterical. She gambled away our life savings trying to look rich while living in the house of an actual multimillionaire who she thought was poor. His phone rang. Sarah, he stared at it, then answered. Speaker on. Julian, where are you? We need to talk about this eviction. I found a lawyer. He says we can fight it. We have rights because... Sarah. Julian's voice was ice. How's Richard? Silence. Long, terrible silence. What? Richard Chen, your husband. How is he? More silence. I don't know what. I just spoke to his dental office. Amanda told me you've been married since August 2018, which means our wedding in Vegas was what exactly? A hobby? Julian, I can explain. You're already married. You committed bigamy. You stole $287,000. You gambled away everything. And now you're trying to have my father declared incompetent so you can steal his house. That's not... You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You have 24 hours to vacate 847 Waverly Street. If you're not gone by tomorrow at 1 p.m., the police will arrest you for bigamy, fraud, and theft. Every single charge. With evidence. Professional forensic evidence. You're done. Julian, please, I love you. You don't even know what love is. He hung up. We sat in silence. What happens now? Julian asked. Now you file a police report. You work with Robert Hayes. You press charges. You get your life back. And you, Dad? I go home, to my house, and I start living again. Julian broke down. I held him while he cried. My son, finally seeing the truth. Finally free. Music transitions to peaceful, hopeful tone. May 15th, 2025, 7:30 a.m. I woke up in my own bedroom, in my own house. 847 Waverly Street. Sunlight streamed through the cream damask curtains I'd rehung in December, the ones Evelyn and I had chosen together. I made coffee in my kitchen. The canned soup was back on the top left shelf where it belonged. At 8 a.m., there was a knock on my door. Julian stood on the porch holding 2 bags from the Liberty Diner, pancakes and eggs. Thought we could have breakfast, Dad. Like old times. He looked different, healthy. He'd gained back the weight, started running, got a better job. Senior event coordinator at the Kimmel Center, $68,000 a year. His own apartment in Northern Liberties. His own life. We sat at the kitchen table, the oak table Evelyn and I bought in 1984. Sarah was sentenced yesterday, Julian said quietly. 18 months for bigamy, 2 years for fraud, running concurrent, plus 5 years probation, and she has to pay you back $143,762. I don't want the money. I know, but the judge ordered it anyway. How do you feel? Free, Julian said. For the first time in 6 years, I feel free. She can't touch me anymore. She can't lie anymore. It's over. And Richard Chen? Divorced her, filed the day after she was arrested. Apparently he had no idea she'd married me. She told him she was doing consulting work in Philadelphia. He thought she was commuting. The whole thing was a con. She was running 2 lives, 2 husbands, trying to get money from both of us. I shook my head. Some people are just broken, Julian. Yeah, but I'm not. Not anymore. At 9 a.m., Maya arrived with Emma and Lucas. They ran through the house screaming with joy, playing in the backyard, being children. At 10 a.m., Dorothy from next door came over with casserole. She'd started a support group for elderly homeowners dealing with financial exploitation. 15 members. Meeting every Wednesday in church basements across Philadelphia. You inspired us, Arthur, she said. 12 people have taken back their homes because of your story. At noon, Robert Hayes called. Arthur, I've been contacted by a publisher. They want to interview you. Book deal, your story. How you protected yourself and helped others do the same. I'm not a writer, Robert. Then find one. This story needs to be told. That evening, I sat in my brown recliner, the one Evelyn and I bought together. I turned on the TV. The Eagles were playing a preseason game. Nobody told me to turn it off. Nobody ordered me to my room. Nobody took the remote. I watched the game, all 4 quarters, and when it was over, I looked at Evelyn's photo on the mantel. I did it, Evie, I whispered. I protected what we built. I protected our family. I protected myself. The house settled around me, warm, safe, mine. At 69 years old, I'd learned something important. Age doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Money doesn't make you powerful. Boundaries do. And the greatest victory isn't revenge. It's peace. I finished my coffee, turned off the lights, went to bed, in my house, on my terms, finally home.